Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex discussion. Today, I want to talk to you guys about why the last chapter, Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, chapter 16, might have resulted in us getting the payoff to a subversion of expectations that has been building up in the background of the story for a while now, which is the mission that Class Rep and Sarada were given by Shikamaru and Boruto Naruto Next Generations to get closer to Ada, and why this might very well be the moment we look back on later and realize that this moment, chapter 16, is where the story began to put that plot line of Sarada and Class Rep needing to be careful around Damon into motion at long last. Back in Boruto Naruto Next Generations, when Shikamaru learned that for reasons that have not yet been confirmed in universe and are merely speculative in nature, Sarada and Class Rep were both immune to the power of Ada's charm ability to control hearts, a power that she and Amato mistakenly thought was the true power of her Shinjutsu, when in reality it was her using omnipotence to turn everyone except for the Otsuki and her blood relatives into love slaves, likely because she so desperately wanted to be loved by others, which is understandable given she's only 16 when we meet her, and we don't know how long ago it was when Amato first experimented on her body. But if she and Damon were sealed away around the time that Kawaki and Code were still smaller kids when they were given the Karma Seal, that potentially would put her at the age where girls start puberty, which is between the age of 8 and 13 when it comes to girls. And given how the Naruto franchise appears to be doing things when it comes to female characters, 12 seems to be most likely the answer for when Ada might have been experimented on by Amato and sealed away, because girls in universe in Naruto appear to start puberty at the age of 12. Though until we get a definitive answer on the ages of Kawaki and Damon, neither have been officially released. They are all merely speculative. If anyone tells you their age, they're speculating, though there's something there for Kawaki given how close Kawaki and Code appear to be in age, but even then it's speculative. Like Boruto refers to Damon as being too young, but it's a as of now open-ended statement in regards to the age, making it even harder to peg down when Amato experimented on their bodies and when Ada first used omnipotence and was ordered to be destroyed by Boro, but Boro disobeyed his orders by sparing Ada and Damon. It's been 2 years since Boruto Naruto Next Generations chapter 76 dropped, and that is what makes this new development really pique my interest about Damon finally getting off of Ada's laps and confronting Sumire in the days ahead, that seem to be coming faster than the release of the official Naruto Explained plushie, which is up for a pre-order on Gimme Slack's website. And I'm proud to say I had a hand in designing the finished plushie. It comes with the weighted and removable championship belt, which has the channel logo on it, which you guys will be seeing in videos starting spring 2025, as well as the 1010 316 t-shirt, which is our required Lady 1010 meme, and it pays homage to my second favorite wrestler of all time, Stone Cold Steve Austin, famous for that awesome 316 promo. Use my promo code NarutoExplain15 to get 15% off your order, and best of all, if we don't hit 100 plushies ordered, then it is 100% fully refundable. So it's a win-win. We hit 100 order and you get a cool plushie that we spent months designing. You also help out the channel in more ways than you realize. And if you don't, then again, you get your money back. Either way, you help support the channel. Pre-orders are now live on my link in the description box and the pinned comment, and they will continue to be live until the end of this month. So you've got until New Year's Eve, basically. Now, let's be really clear here and let's be very upfront. We all pretty much agree that if it comes down to it, Damon, if he decides that he's going to show Sumire that he believes that equal rights get equal lefts, there's no way that Class Rep is walking out of that room without fluids running down her body because Damon took it too far when he stepped to her. Just from a sheer battle perspective, there's no way the Class Rep should even hold a candle against Damon, particularly since in the manga, we've never been given an indication that she is a battle type, though her character profile in the manga does list Nue as her summoning and does reveal that she knows the ninjutsu. But so far that we've seen, it makes it appear as if she's going to be presented as a support type character and not so much as a fighter type to the story. That's not to say she didn't get stronger theoretically, and a battle shown in a character like her who does have some fighting experience very likely improved off screen away from the main plot. However, she doesn't appear to have improved enough to have been allowed to do anything in the Hidari fight, where Konohamaru tells her to stand back while Boruto and Sarada do the heavy lifting. And when the time came for someone to get Boruto's blind side covered, it was Konohamaru who covered for Boruto when he was vulnerable. And it wasn't class rep. She just stood there twiddling her thumbs. So I think there's something to that as well, as the story setting up her role to be a non-combatant in the time skip. However, that's why Damon clocking her again in the last chapter, that's why it's so important. Shikamaru specifically warned them in chapter 76 to not allow Damon to figure out the truth about them being immune to Ada's powers, because the moment Damon found out, he'd view them as being a threat to Ada, and he would move to have them killed the first chance he got. Since then, we had Damon drawn looking over at Sarada and class rep in chapter 1 when they were asking about omnipotence and trying to find a way to help Boruto, with Sarada getting so over the top in her concern that Damon's eyes, they were closed in on twice in the story during that time period. And we had the dramatic sound effect in the lettering in the background when this happened, but Damon never did anything. Yet that was the story letting us know, pay more attention to Damon in that regard. Sarada and class rep each were shown pushing and pausing after Damon began to zero in on them, and they promptly left off screen. But the seed, it was already planted there. Then in this newest chapter, we have the same thing going on, where this time it's class rep who was the one who was making Damon eye them very suspiciously. For two people who were supposed to be affected by Ada, they were having a heated, granted one side back and forth about Boruto, with class rep basically confessing her love for Boruto right there and calling out Sarada's behavior, acting mad jealous, while they were both in the presence of Ada, which it should have been them being so completely infatuated with Ada that their minds, they wouldn't even have gone to Boruto. Particularly class rep, who had Boruto Uzumaki's Thunder Burger being dipped into her secret sauce, heavy on her brain this whole time, and Damon appears to have clocked the whole thing. Whereas Ada, someone who is obsessed with the heart and matters of the heart when it comes to romance, was sitting there unable to move and finding it hard to breathe because of how excited this whole situation made her. To see such a wholesome and impassioned talk about matters of the heart, Damon was the one who took the step back and appeared to go, hold on a second, this don't seem right. How ironic would it be if the one thing that makes Shikamaru's concerns end up coming true be class rep's behavior to this whole situation? Think about it for a second. So like in chapter 76, she was the one who was quick on her feet, telling Sarada to keep her wits about herself so that they could fool Ada and not get caught. She was also very careful to construct that image that finally, after 3 years of pretending to be under Ada's influence, she finally slips up. That's no fault to class rep at all. If anything, if this plays out, it's going to make her look more human and more relatable in a story that has all these superhuman beings, from ninjas using chakra to do these amazing feats of power, to humans being modified into cyborgs with incredible powers, to now you have the Ten Tails in the form of Jura, who is on his own pursuit of answering the question of what it means to be human by having him seek out new stimulation in order to satisfy his thirst for knowledge. The human aspect, the human element for class rep is going to be perfect. She is the non-combatant out of the group, even though again she can fight if she needs to. If this ends up being the case, that she ends up being used to display more of the human element of Boruto characters, she's gonna rocket up my list in terms of my favorite characters. Because here's the thing, it offers you a unique chance to have her to be used as a vehicle to give a different perspective to readers. Very similar to how One Piece uses Nami and Usopp to show off more of the human side to the One Piece world and the Straw Hat crew. The thing about telling lies is that eventually lies get to a point where they're impossible to keep track of. Whereas an actual lived experience is something that will stay with you and it stays consistent. It does not change. Do human beings, do they forget things? Do they misremember things as you get further away from something that happens in real time? Absolutely, it happens. I don't remember every detail of meeting my dad for the first time when I was 13, but I remember enough about the details from that time period where you believe me if I said that he abandoned me shortly afterwards because he went back onto a drug bender. It's been 6 going on 7 years since Ashley died in 2018, someone who I love more than some of my family members that are my flesh and blood. But I remember the downward spiral of the drinking and the depression that led to me blowing up to almost 300 pounds, and how making content kept me from going crazy, and reading the comments and replying to the comments eventually helped me move past the pain enough where it doesn't cripple me every day like it did in the days immediately afterwards, where I had videos scheduled out and I had to give a friend permission on the channel to comment on YouTube for me because I needed a couple weeks in order to get my wits about me and process what happened. Class rep obviously doesn't have situations like that, but the point is still stands. She has lived an experience that she knows, which are her feelings for Boruto, but she has been telling a lie about being this super simp for Ada, and those are two contradicting things, especially when she is directly in the presence of Ada when she's having this meltdown. In the same chapter from part 1, Ada revealed that she wanted to know what a real friendship was like, and when we go back a little further in part 1, we know that Ada did not want Damon unsealed for reasons that, hey, we're not told. Yet both brother and sister, they are based on Susanoo and Amaterasu respectively. We've talked about this on the channel a few times already, with Damon and Susanoo being the rambunctious, wild, and uncontrollable brother, and Ada being more willing to give a pass to class rep if she learns the truth. In my opinion, as I've shared on the Patreon Discord server a few times, I think Ada already knows the truth deep in her heart after that conversation in chapter 1 of Two Blue Vortex, but she's overlooking it because she yearns for a real connection, even though she knows it is a lie, that Sumire is lying to her because of how strongly connected to her character the themes of love are, and friendship is a form of love, and the heart, it is illogical, especially when someone is desperate to fill a hole in their heart the way that Ada is. Could Damon take things too far in terms of his eagerness to protect his sister? It's not crazy to consider that a possibility, especially not when the story appears to be setting up something in the future with Ada and Mamushi. There's enough potential there to make this whole situation messier before you have Mamushi confront Ada in whatever way that he is about to do later on in the story. In writing, you use repetition this frequently for a character like Damon. It more often than not ends up becoming a Chekhov's gun scenario where it becomes relevant information and not a false gun scenario where it appears as if it matters and will have a bigger role to play later on in the story, but it never really does, and it doesn't change anything, something Jujutsu Kaisen did a lot, which I don't think that that's going to be the case here. While Boruto doesn't do as good of a job at successfully subverting expectations as a series like Chainsaw Man, it does do a better job than most gateway shonen, especially when you factor in the subtle nature that Boruto writes with. Which, to see what I mean, click here to watch my newest review for Chainsaw Man from my Anime Explained channel where I discuss non-Naruto content, or click here to watch this video from Naruto Explained if you want to get that fix taken care of for that Naruto and Boruto itch that you can't really satisfy.